Hi everyone, it's Nicole for Simon Says Stamp, and today we're going to be featuring the STAMPtember 2022 exclusive from Avery Elle called Reindeer Wishes. I'm going to be creating this fun little wreath for the reindeer head to be popping out of, and of course the reindeer antlers are adorned with all kinds of fantastic ornaments, and you can use the extra ornaments or you can just use the ornaments right there on the reindeer. I have stamped the reindeer image and a few ornaments with some black ink for Copic coloring. I'm using the Hero Arts Intensified black ink here, and I'm going to color everything in with Copic markers. I have listed the colors of markers I'm using down in the description below the video here on YouTube for easy reference. We're going to start by coloring in the deer with some earth tone colors, E55, 57, and 59. There's really not that much coloring here, but we want to get the cute reindeer and all the little ornaments colored in because we want it to really be the focal point. In addition to this stamp set, I pulled some of my favorite Simon Says Stamp products to really showcase this image. I'm going to be using the Christmas Foliage and die cuts, the Perfect Bow die cut to create a wreath to frame up our reindeer. And then for the background, I'm going to do my all-time favorite wood plank background with the wood planks background, and we're going to be using the Simon Says Stamp Pawsitively saturated inks to create the perfect wood like front door or something to that effect to hang our wreath on with our deer. Once I have my deer all colored in, I'm going to start coloring in the ornaments with reds, greens, teals, and pinks. After I've completely assembled my card, I will be adding some Nouveau Crystal drops in White Blizzard to the ornaments to give them that sparkly finish, just like some of the ornaments that you might put on your Christmas tree. I could see doing all kinds of fun things with this image and even mass producing for lots of cards or holiday tags. I think this image would be really cute for some holiday tags. I did a red nose, so I guess this is Rudolph. And I randomly colored a few of the ornaments with some red and now with some green. There are solid images that you could stamp in addition to the decorative ornaments and then layer them over the ornaments in the antlers, or you could choose to just do the ornaments that are already there. There's a lot of different choices. I decided instead of die cutting extra solid ornaments, I would just color in a few of them with the colors that I am using for the ornaments, and then I will layer over the decorative ornaments like the stripes and the polka dots over the ones I choose not to color. We have a few more of these to do, and then the bells on the collar of our reindeer I absolutely love. I just used some yellows on that. I didn't because it kind of falls into the wreath, but I think if you were going to use this image maybe without something covering up that bottom portion so much, it would be really fun to take some gold Nouveau Crystal drops and place that over the bells on the collar and give them some of that sparkly finish, or maybe even take some crystal lacquer or glossy accents and apply that to the bells. I think that would be super cute as well. Now I have left the top of all of my ornaments without any color. I'm going to grab some cool gray markers and I'm going to color in the tops of them so that it kind of looks more like an actual ornament. And I'm going to go ahead and do that for both the ornaments on the tree And I went ahead and I think I did almost all of them. I kind of forgot I didn't really need to do the ones that we're going to be covering up, but that's okay. And then I am going to die cut everything. And we're going to start putting together our background and the rest of the elements for our card. And again, this is Reindeer Wishes from Avery Elle. It is limited edition exclusive, so if you want it, I highly recommend grabbing it right away as the limited edition exclusives sell out quickly. In the Misty, I am going to use a sticky mat to hold my 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch A2 sized panel in place while I stamp it with my favorite Simon Says Stamp Wood Planks background stamp. This is my favorite wood grain background stamp of all time. I am going to stamp it with the Simon Says Stamp Pawsitively Saturated Mocha ink to first get that really nice wood grain background. Now, when we first stamp it, it's not that impressive because of all of the white. You could start out with a colorful cardstock like Desert Storm, Nina Craft cardstock if you wanted to, and you wouldn't have to probably ink blend quite so much. However, once you start applying ink over that wood grain stamping, it just comes alive. I'm going to use Cappuccino first and go over the whole panel with a nice light layer. It kind of looks like I maybe got a fingerprint into my background, but luckily we're going to be able to disguise that with all of the things we're going to be hanging on our wood door or our wood paneling. After I have the layer of Cappuccino all over the panel, I'm going to go back with Mocha, and around the edges of the panel, I'm just going to deepen and darken them. Even if it kind of blurs out some of the wood grain a little bit, that's okay. I am using a lot of bright color here with the Avery Elle images as well as the wreath we're going to build, and with that, I think it pops really nice against that dark brown background. Oh my goodness, it looks amazing. I love it. Next, I did die cut the Christmas foliage from Green Leaf and Green Apple Simon Says Stamp cardstock. I'm going to take Fairway and Field inks, and we are going to just kind of deepen and darken our die cut pieces, or add some shading, I guess I should say, to these pieces with our ink colors. For the lighter cardstock, we're going to use Fairway, and for the darker, we'll use Field. I've die cut 6 each of these 2 foliage kind of branches. I found that that's going to create just the perfect size wreath for our card. So I laid out the larger branch image first before I started my card making, and I found that 6 really made a nice circle for an A2 sized card, and then I'm going to fill in all the little areas with the smaller pine branch. I'm going to go ahead and move my Simon Says Stamp tear off mat away that I used for ink blending, and I'm going to lay out the greeting I'm going to use for my card, and then I'm going to lay out my wreath so I can make sure and get the placement correct for everything. And this kind of helps determine, I think I need to move it down a little bit. I don't want to lose too much of the reindeer's antlers because that's the showstopper for this particular design. Using some liquid adhesive and tweezers, I am going to carefully apply some of the liquid glue and pop these in place in a circular shape. You can see I'm kind of tucking each new branch underneath the one before. This creates an amazing wreath. Then I'm going to instantly take my reindeer image and I'm going to tuck that down into the wreath so that it's in place. Then we're going to take the little pine branches, the little darker green images, and I am going to start gluing those in place. Once I have everything where I want it to go, I am going to go ahead and put an acrylic block or something heavy on top to kind of help hold everything down while that glue dries. You also want to probably wait a little bit before stamping and embossing. If I had stamped and embossed if I had stamped and inked the wood planks background first, I could have stamped and embossed my greeting before adhering everything. I would highly recommend doing that. I kind of didn't, so I went ahead and I just waited to the end. It is a little bit trickier, but it still can be done. I layered the ornaments over the white ornaments on my reindeer antlers to fill it in, and I love all of the bright, fun color. Instead of using the berry Christmas foliage images, I am going to take some pretty pink posh cherry red pearls, and we are going to adorn our wreath. These pops of red throughout our wreath really do bring it alive. They add lots of dimension and texture to this beautiful image. I'm going to go all the way around, adding in my red berries. This is also an excellent opportunity to use some of those bigger red pearls that I often don't use on some other cards. I felt like they really worked with the size and scale of this wreath. Next, I'm going to take some Nuvo Crystal Drops in White Blizzard and apply it to the ornaments so that that starts drying. It's going to go on and it will kind of distort the color of the ornament, but once dry, it dries clear and it's going to leave a glittery finish. For the reindeer's nose, I did apply some crystal lacquer, which will dry completely clear and give the cute reindeer a glossy red Rudolph nose that has some dimension to it as well. To finish off our wreath and to really just kind of finish showcasing the beautiful design of the reindeer popping out of the wreath, I thought we needed a bow. Out of some Lawn Fawn red holiday glitter cardstock, I've used the Simon Says Stamp Perfect Bow, and we're going to assemble this. Now, the one thing that I did change about this particular bow has the bowstrings hanging down. And while I love that most of the time, for this particular card, it would completely cover up our sentiment. In order to keep those bow tails, which I really think it needs, I'm just going to snip that in half, which you'll see in a minute. I highly recommend some reverse tweezers for bow assembly, as it makes it so easy to clamp that bow shut and together, and that holds it in place while the glue dries. In fact, I assembled the bow, put it in place on the wreath, clamped it with my tweezers, and went and had lunch for 30 minutes and came back and finished the card. So I'm wrapping that center piece around the bow that we just assembled, and the glitter cardstock kind of ties in nicely to the glitter of our ornaments. So here is where I really realized I can't leave the bowstrings hanging down like I normally would. This is the perfect size bow. The name of this bow is perfect since it's called the Perfect Bow, because it really is the perfect size for so many things. So what I did was simply snip it apart, and I am going to glue these two little pieces down, kind of going out the side. No one will ever know that it isn't one solid piece. So let's go ahead and do that really quick, and we're just going to kind of tuck it into our foliage. We'll add our bow center in place. Use our reverse tweezers to help hold that down and hold it nice and secure. And I love how it just kind of, it almost gives our reindeer a bow tie and finishes off the beautiful wreath perfectly. And here's my reverse tweezers we're just going to use to hold that down. Now, when I come back after lunch, everything has dried. The Nuvo Crystal Drops, the crystal lacquer, and my background inking. So now I can place my sentiment along the bottom edge of my panel. I'm using the Rabbit Hole Designs powder tool to help make it so that the embossing powder sticks just to the stamping. I've used the Simon Says Stamp Clear Embossing Ink, stamped Merry and Bright from the Reindeer Wishes stamp set. You can also use Happy Holidays, 'Tis the Season, or Merry Christmas. I'm going to sprinkle on some Simon Says Stamp white embossing powder and then heat set this along the bottom of the card. Don't forget to brush away the excess powder when you're through so that you don't have that powdery residue. I love the bright white sentiment. It ties in nicely to the white outline on our Reindeer Wishes images. To finish the reindeer's nose, and because the crystal lacquer is all the way dry, my favorite thing to do is to take a white pen and add just a little highlight. I'm also going to snip away anything hanging off the top of the card so that it perfectly fits in an A2 sized envelope. We don't lose hardly anything, just maybe the very tippy top of the ornaments. We'll adhere this panel to a white top fold card base, and our holiday card featuring the STAMPtember 2022 Avery Elle Reindeer Wishes limited edition stamp set is all finished. Please be sure to visit the Simon Says Stamp blog for more information, and the supplies used are listed and linked below the video for your convenience. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Hi there, I'm Heidi, Simon's mama and founder at simonsaysstamp.com. Thank you so much for watching our video. If you like what you just saw, be sure to press the thumbs up and subscribe to see more great content.